Greetings, my fellow gamers! It is I, Wraith King, bringing you news from beyond the mirror, from the other world, and today we are reviewing, the second edition, to the revamp update. Apparently there is a second edition, I actually had no idea, but you know what, that's alright, I'm actually pleased to know that what I read for, Yuri and Espada was not entirely true, apparently, but you know what, that's okay, that's alright. Because I'm actually really pleased to see that the developers did change these characters slightly and made them a little better than what they were before, because they really did need it. But anyways, let's see what Yuri's passive ability does now, because I heard this was probably the biggest change to her. But before we do, let's see what her passive ability did before. What Secret Deal used to do is she became immune to all attacks for 4 turns, additionally increased the critical rate of all allies by 60%. In Daily Dungeon mode, increase all damage inflicted on enemies by 65% and decreases defense by 65%. So I think it's clear what this actually does now, is it only does one extra thing. Isn't that wonderful? The addition they added to her passive ability is she increases all damage inflicted on enemies by 40%, which actually isn't that bad. That's actually pretty good. But as for the rest of her abilities, not much has actually changed. Unfortunately, it was only her passive that was really changed. Everything else remained the same for her, and her awakening skill remained the same as well, and it was a little disappointing to find that out. I really was hoping the developers really did listen to us and changed her awakening skill to what it used to be, because that, in my opinion, is much better than what it is now. But without further ado, let's take a look at Espada, because she has been the strongest change in this update concerning revamp. But before I show you what's changed, let's see what she used to do. What Magic Neutralizer used to do is it reduce the magic damage received by all allies by 55%. Additionally, block will be applied for all damage received. Now that applied to her, not the entire ally team. That would be OP. In World Boss mode, only against the demon guy, she increases the lethal attack damage of all allies by 30%. Now this is what she used to do. Now okay, let's see what she does now. What Magic Neutralizer does now is the 30% increase in lethal attack applies everywhere, which is great, but that's not all that was added to her character. She also protects all allies from bleeding for 6 turns, but only against the demon guy. Not bad. That's a pretty decent change, but her first active ability has not been changed, by the way. But as for her passive, nah, it's still pretty good, you know, don't get me wrong, it's definitely pretty good, but at the same time, not entirely something I'd grind for. But anyways, what God's Judgment does now is it has a slight different change, but let's take a look at what it used to do first. God's Judgment inflicted 120% magic damage on all enemies. Additionally, piercing will take effect. That's what it used to do. What it does now is only the slight change of in-world boss mode only. She decreases the skill CD to 40 seconds in this mode only, and only against the demon guy. Is that good? Yeah, that's actually pretty good. That means she can use that ability much more frequent. So in all, the update they added to her just makes her better against the demon guy. But as for her awakening skill, nothing has really changed with that at all. I mean, at all, nothing has changed. But that's not all they've added to this update. They didn't just revamp a few heroes, they actually added a few pets. Let's take a look at them real quick. So we have Dumbo here, who appears to be a pet now. What this pet does is he increases magic attack of all allies by 12%, and he increases critical rate of all allies by 12% as well. I actually wanted to make a video on pets a little while ago, because pets in themselves are very hard to understand. Some people think that pets are just a little piece of nothing that you have on your team, but trust me, they aren't. In the future, there is going to be a pet that's really going to help your Death CC team if you have one. I'm pretty sure you don't, because not a lot of people have a Death CC team in the global version, because all of the characters that are for Death CC teams aren't exactly here yet, but they will be. And speaking of Death CC teams, I will be mentioning something at the end of this video concerning them. But anyways, Pets are very complicated, and picking the right one can be a little complicated, especially if you're just starting out with the game. So I'm actually planning on making a video on what pets you should pick for your team in the future. But right now we're going to take a look at this ghost pet thing here. I don't know, what is this thing? But anyways, what this little guy does is he increases the physical attack of all allies by 12% and increases critical rate by 12%. Now, alright, let's take a look at Bigfoot here. What Bigfoot does is he increases block rate of all allies by 10% and increases the reduction of all... Sorry about that, I lost train of thought, so I just screamed a little. But anyways, he increases the damage reduction of all allies by 10%. So yeah, pretty decent pet, but let's see what the next one does. Fruit Collector Hudson. Well, that's actually the simplest name I've ever given any character on 7 Nights. Anyways, what Hudson does is he increases the defense of all allies by 10% and increases the block rate of all allies by 10%. You know what? I almost forgot to mention the Death CC thing. Apparently, Awakened Chris is going to be released very, very soon. I've gotten news about that, and he's going to be great, but at the same time, there's some negative news about him that I've heard, and I have to say, it's probably the weirdest news I've ever heard. I honestly, I couldn't believe this. A friend of mine told me about Chris. I'm not going to give anything away, but I'm just going to tell you, it's not good. It's not. But anyways, that's all the time I have left for this video, my fellow gamers. Remember to like, comment, and please do subscribe to my channel. I love making videos a lot, and I don't just make 7 Nights videos. I'm actually planning on making this a channel where I do multiple reviews on multiple games, not just 7 Nights, because I don't want this just to become some generic 7 Nights gaming channel, because that's not what I want this to be. I want this to be something fun, entertaining, for everyone to enjoy. But anyways, that's all the time I have left, my fellow gamers. Please do take it easy for me, alright? Bye.